Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today, this awesome Wednesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. So let's get to it real quick. Just drop me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. Perfect. Appreciate it. All right. And do that. So let's cool deal. So let's hop over to trading economics and let's get down to it. Make one more adjustment here on the back side. Boom. All right, so let's hop over to trading economics, take a look at fundamentals, and then we'll just dive into the charts, man. I don't know why I'm getting this error message still. So let me try something different here. This. And that. Give me 1 second, everybody. Desktop. There we go. All right, cool. You should be able to see our screen now. We have Eurozone retail sales fall for the third straight month. Retail sales in the Euro area declined 0.3% in September, marking a third consecutive month of decrease and exceeding market expectations of 0.2%, suggesting consumer demand continues to face challenges due to persistent high inflation and elevated borrowing costs at multi-year highs. All right, so the data starting to shift in the Eurozone. Retail sales slowing down, inflation still high. ECB paused and held rates. So we'll continue to monitor that. We'll see how that impacted the markets as well. Then we had DXY rises for the third straight session on Wednesday to approach 106 as traders remain divided on where the U.S. interest rates already peaked. And look ahead to Federal Reserve Jerome Powell's speech later on today. This week, some FOMC members left the door open for further rate hikes. Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkar said that it is too soon to declare victory over inflation, while Chicago Fed Austin Goolsbee said a soft landing is still on the table. The greenback gained some ground against most major currencies and weakened versus the Aussie as the Reserve Bank of Australia delivered a dovish rate hike. Last week, the dollar fell 1% after Fed held rates steady and set a more dovish tone. And a weak U.S. job reports reinforced bets for a peak in rates. So there's some back and forth in the dollar. And Japan manufacturers' mood improves. French trade deficit exceeds expectation. So Eurozone inflation expectation rises, meeting consumer expectations for Euro area inflation over the 12 months increased sharply to 4% in September 2023, reaching the highest level since April from 3.5 in August. according to data from the ECB Consumer Expectations Survey. Simultaneously, expectations for inflation 3 years ahead remain unchanged at 2.5%. Additionally, uncertainty about inflation expectations over the next 12 months increased after reaching the lowest levels since March 2022. The development of interest rate perception and expectations remain closely aligned across income groups. However, younger respondents continue to report lower inflation perceptions and expectations than older respondents. Interesting. See how the people view inflation. So that's it from there over to the calendar. We had tons of speakers come in yesterday. Inflation expectations in New Zealand, 2.76%. So today we have Governor Bailey. Governor Bailey spoke this morning. I have to take a look to see what that is. I didn't get a chance to do that this morning. Fed Chair Powell at 9:15. So we'll watch, and we'll figure out if we can watch that, and we'll get that posted in the Discord for everybody. Then later on today, China CPI and the yen 30-year bond auction. Tomorrow we got unemployment claims, and Fed Chair Powell speaks again. So not a ton happening from a data perspective, but tons of speakers. So we'll continue to monitor those as we move through the day as well. Is there anything from a fundamental perspective that you guys saw that that you want to bring to the table? No? Okay. All right, cool deal. Let's hop over to the charts and see what we have rocking there. All right, let's take a look at the dollar. And first, I actually want to look at is the dollar CAD after that. So we'll do that. So there. And there we go. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, man. Doing well. Glad to be here. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm doing good, man. Ready to rock and roll?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you see anything from a fundamental perspective?
Oh, no, man. Just that front page, that European retail sales, third straight.
Third straight, man.
Yeah.
Third straight.
No, that was the big news.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. So we'll get rocking, man. Appreciate you, dude.
No doubt.
All right. So DXY. Let's come back. But DXY has been rising, right? Third straight session of increase. We know on the daily time frame we had this trend line break last week, and now we're pulling back. Okay, we had this pulling back into that range that we broke out of, right? So the question is, will this just be a retest and then a continuation lower, or will we start to continue to push to the upside there? As the report said, right, there's back and forth between Fed members and overall sentiment on inflation and interest rates. So we'll continue to monitor to see, but right now we're pulling back, taking back some of this nice bearish action that we had from last week. So we'll continue to monitor to see how things move from there. All right, so I'm going to remove this daily support level, right? And we're pushing back into the zone now. Okay, I'll remove that trend line as well and take that out for now. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Break, pulling back potentially for retest, and then we'll see if we get a continuation lower on the dollar. Coming down to the 4, and this is what that looks like there, right? So coming into those support levels, and we'll see how things respond. We'll see what Jerome Powell has to say, see if that gives us any insight on what to look for moving forward. Okay. So that's the dollar. I want to take any questions on the DXY?
Nope.
All right, cool deal. Let's take a look at this dollar CAD. We'll come back, but that's the move there, 80-20 on the 1 hour. We're still right trying to figure things out here on this move to the upside. Nice bearish action. We pulled back. Now, do we get a continuation down to the support level at 135,768? That's the short-term question. All right. So coming down to the 4. All right, there are those fibs on the 4. Let's clear that out. All right, they're the fibs on the 4. We had a 382 push, not able to break out, pulled back, moving back along with the dollar. Right. So we're moved into this little bit of a range here. And we got some bearish action happening this morning. All right. So coming down to the 1, here's our 80-20 scenario right here. Right. I know we looked at one yesterday on the lower time frame. Price continued to rise, didn't play out there, but we have it here forming on the 1 hour time frame. So here's our first opportunity of the morning. Price pushing to the downside there, right? So from where price currently is to the stop, that's 51 pips. The TP1, you got 48. TP2, you got 71. All right. So 80-20 on the books right there. Okay. Boom. All right. So there we have it. So we'll track that. We'll see how things move throughout the morning. But 80-20 right there. Any questions on the dollar CAD?
Nope.
No. All right. Cool deal. Let's see here. So update on this NZD-JPY. We're just hovering sideways right now in that 118, 127 zone, right? We had a nice push down off the entry and we pulled back a bit. So let's see what happens here and see if we get that next leg down to the downside there. Okay. Don't know if anybody's still holding this or in this, but the ABCD waves, sub fibs to the downside, nice pullback, 786 retracement level there. We'll see if we get that next push down to get to that at least at 236 level and then potentially lower. Okay. Come back and look at it overall. And that's where we sit. That's sloppy. Boom. That's the longer term move. Try to clear this up for us. Maybe. Boom. Nope, that's not it. Not the one that I wanted to take out. Boom. All right. Let's come back. There we go. There's our capital fib there on that NZD-JPY, right? 618 retracement, trying to make our way to the upside, but we've been stalling out here in this range, right? Came back to the top of the range. Now we're slowly trying to pull back there. Okay. So coming down to the 4, had fibs going in both directions. Oops. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's run those fibs back to the upside here on the 4. And that last one is off. So we'll manually draw this one in here. Well, there's an AB boundary there. Right? So push down, we'll pull him back. See if we get another leg down to the downside. Okay. Now let's get back to the 1 hour time frame where we had it here. Okay, boom. So we'll continue to monitor that and see if we get that push down to the downside there. Okay. Put that back in. All right. And so just expand that out and allow that to float with price. Boom. All right. Any questions on NZD JPY?
Nope.
No. All right. And setting a limit order is just going in, placing your order, and then selecting pending and putting in your prices. All right. Buy or sell, your lot size, what price you want what price you want the order to execute at, and then place your stop loss and your take profit levels. That's all. MT4 is different. I don't have that platform on my computer, so I'm not able to show you there. But if you just go into your phone, you hit you add your order, and then you change it from market execution to buy limit or sell limit, and put in your entry price. Okay. All right. Cool deal. That's the NZD JPY. The pound Swiss is still running. Let's take a look at I want to look at this Euro CAD. Still acting a bit funny here. So from a weekly time frame perspective, right, we're still in this range. We came down to the bottom of the range, we pushed back to the top. Oh, I missed out. And we're pushing back to the top of the range here, right? I still have this order in that I've been in for a little while. But we'll see if we continue to the top of the range here, or if we turn back over and make our way back down to the bottom of the range, ultimately breaking this 142,412 level and continuing lower. We'll see. But we still have this 80-20 on the weekly time frame for this Euro CAD. So we'll watch it. It's a longer developing scenario. So tons has to happen for that to play out. Here on the daily time frame, you also have an 80-20. Right, there's that peak below that weekly support with that wick on the weekly. Put a daily support level there. Boom, drop that down. So we're still caught in this range here, right? So we'll see what happens as we get back to the top of this range. See if price turns over and makes its way back down to the downside. But this is the overall move here on the Euro CAD, looking for at some point price to continue moving to the downside if the CAD is able to pick up some strength. The oil is still pulling back, so could be a bit before that transpires. So we'll continue to watch it there from a longer term perspective. Down on the one, right? You had a 50% retracement. This move played out to the downside. Now we're pulling back. So we'll see, right? Got some bearish action happening now, but we'll continue to monitor to see what happens if we're able to get that continuation down to the downside. All right. So the original 80-20 here, right? Shallow retracement 118, 127. Boom, that played out, gave us a 50% retracement there. Okay, so that move is done, but longer term, I'm looking to see if we get some continuation and some movement down to the downside. All right. Then down on the one, you see that just a little bit more closely there. All right, there's your 80-20 scenario. Boom, beautiful move. Okay, so just watching that one, I just want to look at that one from a longer term perspective. We don't have much happening on the lower time frames either here. So just watching overall, monitoring that move to see what happens over the long term. All right. Any questions on the Euro CAD?
No, sir.
Nope. All right. Cool deal. S&P 500. We looked at this one yesterday, and we said we wanted to see how things transpired when the market opened, and there was a push to the upside, right? So we're pushing back to the highs here, right? And this is on the 4-hour. Got our daily resistance level here at 4101. I'm sorry, 4401. So we'll see if we get another push to the upside to get to that daily resistance level and what happens there. It's interesting that the DXY has been pushing to the upside at the same time that the indices are also pushing to the upside. So we'll watch and see what happens as we get closer to this daily resistance level. Yesterday we didn't get any bearish action. It was all just bullish action here. So didn't give us the catalyst to enter that trade. And we may get some more bullish action today. And depending on what Fed Chair Powell has to say, right? That could also impact this one, maybe give us a temporary move to the downside first before continuing higher. So something for us to keep our eyes on there on the 4-hour. On the daily, that's the overall scenario, right? We got a nice deep retracement and we're just pushing long, right? So at some point, we haven't had a pullback yet. So at some point, right, we'd like to see a pullback and then get an opportunity to continue this to the upside if that's what price wants to do, right? So we'll watch that there. Coming down to the 1, we're inching closer to that D extension on the 1-hour. Let me clear this out. There we go. Inching closer to that D extension on the 1-hour. So this 1-hour fib could likely be stopped out if you entered this off the 1, right? And we'll look forward to that 4-hour fib and monitor things from there opposed to the 1-hour, right? We're really, really close. And if we get that 4401, then obviously that D extension on the 1-hour is going to be hit as well, right? So let's monitor this one and see what type of action we get this morning, right? One more peak up. If it stalls here, stays below, then we can look for some entry opportunities to the downside here on the S&P 500, all right? Some bearish action, pullback type scenarios. Okay. Whoops. Cancel that. All right. Questions on the S&P 500. Joyce said got a weekly resistance at 4,400. At 4,400, Joy. Let's see. Oh, that same level there. So that daily is a weekly level. I got you. Yep. Cool. Yep. Okay. Appreciate that. Trend line Reese. Yeah, let's get back here and get all this out. Trend line to the upside. And there you go. All right. Reason I place it there, right? Those that may be asking, your goal is to get to the highest point, right? The highest point is here. However, price is just moving sideways. So the one caveat to trend lines, everything else is the same. But the one caveat is you don't want price, if price moves sideways through your trend line, you adjust it to the outermost point. So that's what I did here. Only time you adjust that trend line. So that's why I drew it the way that I did. But there you go, Reese, right? There's your trend line to the upside, bouncing, trying to push north. Okay, no doubt. All right. Any other questions on the S&P 500? Continue to watch this, and we definitely could we could get a nice move off this, depending on what happens this morning. Yeah, and confirmations are important, right? And then understanding fundamentally what's happening as well, right? So this has been running to the upside, but why has it been running to the upside? Because the Fed held rates, and folks are thinking, well, we could be done increasing interest rates, right? So if investors have a dovish sentiment on the dollar, right? Or if the Fed has a dovish sentiment when it comes to further interest rate increases, right? Investors like that because they can then move back into their riskier assets, right? And try to make some more money, right? Because money won't get any more expensive, right? And if money's not going to get any more expensive, I can go out and I can make some moves, right? So when that happened, right, last week, you saw a push. So you got a lot of bullish action here, and you got a lot of bullish momentum. So especially in these scenarios where the dollar was pulling back, pushing down to the downside, right? Your indices are going to push to the upside, and that's what's happening here because of that dovish sentiment when it comes to the dollar overall. Stock market likes cheap money, so you're going to see bullish action here. So it's not surprising that price continues to run to the upside here, right? Until there's something that's said that causes them to pause a bit, right? And that pause will come in the form of a pullback, right? So that's why these press conferences this week are going to be interesting to see the words that they choose to see if they say something that causes the pause and gives us a pullback, right? That makes sense? So you definitely want to use additional confirmations, but also understanding what's happening fundamentally, right? That's why we talk so much about the fundamental side. Is if you understand that and you add that to your confirmations that you see technically, you can have a good understanding of what's happening, right? And then understanding the details of the steps that we teach, right? And this one caveat of consolidation and why you don't want to place a trade within that consolidation because it's indecision, right? So when that consolidation moves through the trend line, you got to understand, right? It's not a trend line break. It's just moving sideways. It's not a change in momentum and direction. That's what the trend line break tells you, right? So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind. Exactly. Cool deal. Any other questions or thoughts on this S&P 500?
No, sir.
No? All right. Cool deal. Let's take a look at, I haven't looked at this one. Haven't looked at this one in a while, so let's walk through it and see if it shows something similar to the S&P 500. Let's go back to the daily. We'll clean this up a bit. Support level there. That's no longer. Resistance. Boom. Okay. Those fibs got taken out. We'll pull those out as well. Boom. Okay. So run a fib off the high. Nice pullback there, 786 retracement. We come into a level of daily resistance. Okay, level of daily resistance there. So let's see what happens. Starting to get some indecision. Let's go down to the 4. Okay. All right, so down to the 4. There's our levels. Let's drop the fib from the high and see where it stands. It got taken out. So let's flip it. Boom. Similar deal, right? Bullish action. 4-hour time frame. D extension is there. So let's see what happens here at this daily resistance level, right? If we get one more push to the upside, that'll hit the D extension here on the 4, right? But just like that, just like the S&P 500, that could potentially set us up for, if we get a pullback at that point, potential crown action, right? So let's watch and see what happens here at this daily level. Do we take that out, get to the D extension, give us a new AB boundary, and then a pullback? Okay. So we'll keep an eye there to see what happens throughout the day today. Coming down to your 1. Similar story, right? Got a fresh AB boundary here, 118, 127 zone. What happens? Do we get to the D extension there, just like on the 4? And then do we get a pullback? Okay. So let's continue to monitor these. They all move similarly, but I wanted to take a look at and update it as well. And then run the trend lines to the upside. Right, so we're trying to press sideways through the trend line there. So make that small adjustment and go there. All right, questions on the NASDAQ? Yeah,
Nope.
and appreciate that. And that's the thing, right? She said the thing with me is being stubborn. I've been teaching from the beginning. It ultimately, right? That's why the mindset piece is so important, right? Understanding what you're learning, and everybody goes through this process where it's a process of unlearning, right? Unlearning the old things that didn't get you anything consistent, right? And relearn and reinforcing the new things that you are learning. So that's why that conversation yesterday was so important when talking about the full reinforcement of the discipline, right? And really putting yourself in a position where, regardless of a demo account, prop firm account, your own personal account, reinforcing the things that are being taught consistently, time and time and time again, so that you are able to push those old habits out and bring new habits in, right? And then just continuing to go back, ways to do that, continuing to go back through the training, right? Even if you open up a demo account, right, and just force that habit. That's why we've shifted to just looking for these 80/20s, right? To force that image into our minds and to force us to only look for these things, right? And if we only look for these things, the more we'll see those things. And the more you do that, the better you become, right? So it's a process now of really, really forcing yourself to instill the discipline, right? To force those old habits to the side. And yeah, you have slip ups every now and then, right? But they'll be less and less and less. So now's a point where, right, you identify the areas in which you need to make adjustments, and you make those adjustments and you implement them and you implement them and you implement them, right? And that's the challenge as we grow and evolve, right? Is doing the hard thing. Oh, sorry about that. Doing the hard things, because our brains are designed to be efficient and to do what's routine, to do what's easy. right? And we have to force ourselves to change that, right? So that's why implementing the things that we teach and working on the mindset piece is so important. So appreciate your transparency. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. S&P 500. Let's take a look at what we had this. We talked about yesterday morning. This this Aussie dollar, and we looked at this 5-minute chart. Benny put us on yesterday morning, and we came just shy of that TP1. Where did that go? Where was that, Benny? That was the move there. Here we go. My bad. On the 15th. On the 15th. We had a shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone. Price was here, right? And we said it might start to take off from there. It gave us another push down into that 118, 127 zone and moved to the upside, right? Came just shy of that TP1 level, right? And then we got a pullback. So this was a beautiful move yesterday to the upside, right? 40 pips off the low that we talked about towards the end of the session yesterday. So that was another beautiful snare that played out on our lower time frames to the upside. Got a pullback. Depending on what happens with the dollar, we may get another push to the upside to get us through TP1 and potentially TP2. Did anybody take this Aussie dollar trade yesterday?
I did. Mine's closed out because I put it right before that
Just
382.
before?
So yeah, so my broker took me out of it. So
Got you. Mine is still floating. I thought it was going to take me out, but it didn't. It just missed mine. And so I'm sitting in this little pullback scenario here. So we'll see. I did move my stop in a profit. So if it breaks the support level, then I'll get taken out. But yeah. Beautiful move. Appreciate you, bro. So that's the Aussie dollar. Euro GBP. There's another one. We had this one in a couple scenarios. So daily time frame, right? This is the overall long-term view of the Euro GBP. Deep retracement 8.6 level, trying to make its way above this daily and weekly level that we continue to get stalled out at, and we're still stalled out there, right? So been moving to the upside, but Joy says she's still in the Aussie dollar. I dig it. Just continue to monitor that, right? We'll see what happens with the dollar as it moves today. So we still got to break through this 87 180 level for this to really get some legs and move forward. But it's been slowly trickling to the upside, right? Slowly trickling to the upside. We're up 135 on that move off the original entry. As we move down in the time frames, this is the 4, right? It's just bouncing back and forth on the 4, right? Not a ton happening there. We come down to the 1, right? And we also got a bunch of back and forth happening there on the 1 as well. But as we move to the lower time frames, this is another that we talked about coming out of the weekend, right? Boom. On that move down, fibs running off the high. Here's our 80-20 scenario. Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, right? And a little bit of drawdown below that daily support level, but then we got the takeoff, right? So pushing close to that TP2 level, right? So the move up to that TP1 is 37 pips, right? So from our 709 from yesterday plus another 37, we're sitting at 746 pips on a Wednesday, right? So price is moving in our favor there, pushing to the upside. If you're still holding that, right, you're sitting at 40 pips at its high out of the zone. You're at 47 pips. So another beautiful scenario, 80-20 on the 15-minute out of the weekly ritual. That played out in our favor, right? So beautiful scenarios there. Beautiful scenarios there. And this one actually moved relatively quickly considering the considering this the Euro GBP. So great work there. Just an update. And Euro CAD we looked at. Look at this pound CAD. Not a ton happening here. I'm looking to see here if we get another move to the downside, right? We had this long bearish action, got a nice pullback here. Nothing immediate, but I'm looking to see if price does turn over at some point and start making its way back down to the downside here. So just an overall view coming down to the 4 AB boundary. We're at a 236 retracement. Do we get take that out? That's an old markup that didn't go. Do we get another push to the upside to push us into this 118, 127 zone? Right? And then give us the opportunity to get short. Okay. So that's something to keep our eyes on as if we get another push long. We'll take a look at oil as well, see where oil sits. We might have an opportunity to get this type of action here. So we'll watch that from a 4-hour perspective. Coming down to the 1, it's similar, right? AB boundary. Do we get another nudge to the upside? Okay. So we'll watch that and see how that develops to see if we get that opportunity there. Okay. Let's see, coming down to our lower time frames. That's the 5. That's already in motion. Yeah, not a ton doing here on the lower time frames either. Here's an 80-20 scenario there. Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. Breakdown, 382. Man. So yeah, it's been moving. It's been moving for sure. So we'll see what happens there. See if we get a push to the upside and then get an opportunity to get short there on the pound CAD. Any questions there? Just an overview. No. Let's take a look at this Aussie yen. It's still bouncing around a bit, right? So we talked about it on the daily time frame, pushing to that monthly resistance level, turned over, pulling back. Had a nice bearish close yesterday. We're taking back some of that today, right? Taking back some of that bearish action. So we come down to the 4, and this is what we have on the 4. Okay, so we could potentially be in for. This is the 80-20 scenario here. Boom, push down. All right, and we had it on the lower time frame, but 80-20 on the 4 as well. We could potentially be in for. It's wacky looking. Looks better on the 1, but potential crown action here. Right, so we'll see if things stall out here and give us another push to the downside, getting to that 382 on the 4-hour time frame, potentially even lower. Okay. So that's the 4-hour look, crown potential on the 80-20 that's making its way. Okay. So here's the look on the 1, and the crown looks a little bit better here. All right. So we'll see if we get price to turn over and start making its way back down to the downside. Okay, so there's the potential there. Still slowly making its way. Slowly making its way. All right. Questions on the Aussie yen, 80-20 on the 4. Oh, okay. Cool. Then Aussie NZD. Here's our move there on the 4. Slowly making its way. Right? Slowly making its way out of the zone. Currently sitting up 71 pips. right? Got a ways to go to get to that support level at 134, right? But playing out slowly over time. Those NZDs are trying to turn back over and pick up some steam there. So we'll continue to monitor this one and see how it moves. Okay. Here's your look on your one. If you traded that off the 1 hour time frame, your TP1 is hit and you made it to TP2 on the 1 hour, right? Wacky on that move, but making its way nonetheless. Okay. Questions on the Aussie NZD? Nope. All right, cool deal. Benny, you got any pairs you got your eyes on, bro?
Not right now, but I definitely have my eyes on the chart all day though. So should have some things setting up. So we'll see what happens once New York opens, especially with that retail sales data report coming out of the Eurozone. So looking for some more volatility for the setup.
Yep, for sure. You got Fed chair, you got Powell speaking at 9:15.
Yes,
So that
sir.
could give us some action as well. Cool deal. Team, you guys got any pairs you got your eyes on? You're going to take a look at euro dollar. So we are still EU and gold. Gotcha. All right. So we broke that daily level, right? We retested it once, pushed down, pulled back, retested that daily level again, and we're turning over, pressing back down to the downside. Okay. Now we know the dollar has been pulling back, right? Which this move right here makes sense, right? Same as the inverse of the DXY, right? So pulling back off a strong bullish move to the upside. So we'll see what happens if we're able to break this resistance level on another push to the upside, or does the DXY continue its pullback and do we push back down into the zone, into the consolidation, right? Something to keep our eyes on and think about. Coming down to the 4, there's that consolidation in action there, but here's the 80-20 scenario that took a while to play out to that 382, but we finally made it. All right. Took its time, bounced back and forth, finally got a push, hit that 382 level. All right. So now we're waiting to see what else develops here. All right. Nice pullback here, retesting some resistance levels. Let's see if we get another push to the upside. We'll see. Coming down to the 1, there's your pullback there. Right. So we'll see what happens as we move through the day today. Okay. Coming down to your lower time frames, still not a ton doing there, right? That's on the 5, on the 15. That's what you look like there, right? So not a ton happening. No 80-20 scenarios for us to play, but we're coming into some lower time frame zones that we'll watch and see what happens as things develop, right? So not a ton happening from an 80-20 perspective, just watching to see what develops. Okay, this was an 80-20 scenario on the retracement. Worked at 118 level and collapsed. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. 96 pips on that move back down. Okay. Any questions on euro dollar? Nope. All right. Cool. Let's take a look at gold and oil. There's that 80-20 on gold. Still making its way down. Right? Hasn't gotten to that 382 yet. Hasn't gotten there. Pulled back nicely. Right? Pull back here. We'll look on the lower time frames and see what's happening there. But we could get another bounce potentially. Let's go back to the higher time frames and see where we are. right? Capital AB boundary here, deep retracement, pushing to the upside, just in a pullback phase here, right? Just in a pullback phase here. So we'll see how deep this pullback goes, right? And do we get this crown action on a move to the upside? Okay, we'll see if we get a deeper push here. Like so, right? To set us up for this crown. Right? Potentially a larger one in play as well, but we'll look at it like that for now. So we'll watch that and see from a higher time frame perspective. Coming down to the 4. There's your move on the 4. Clear. There we go. Here's your move on the 4. Okay. Just range bound right now, trying to get some legs to the downside. Okay. So back to the 1. There's that 80-20 scenario trying to make its way down. Right. So as you move down in the time frames, 30-minute, boom. This is the 80-20 that we marked out on the 30. See if we get a bounce, pull back to that 382 at least, and then get back short. Okay. So we'll watch that and see. We got a double bottom forming here, right? See if that holds in the short term to give us that catalyst push back to the upside, right? So 80-20 scenario on the 30-minute on gold. If you're trading it, there's an opportunity for you right there. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Bingo. All right, so we'll track that off the 30-minute time frame there. Okay. Questions on gold? Nope. All right, cool deal. And let's take a look at oil. Still pulling back. Still pulling back. So this on the daily time frame, right? We're breaking back below the support level. Hey Reese, yeah, I am streaming to YouTube. I'm just streaming it a little bit differently. So it is there. It is there. So so the replays should be going there. I'm just not doing it through Zoom as Benny does on his recording. So but it is streaming right now. So you can go over to YouTube and see it's there. I'm just streaming it differently. That's all through a different platform. So that's why the YouTube symbol doesn't show at the top corner. Yep, no doubt. Morning, big girl. So oil pushing down to the downside. This is our sub fib coming off the high 618 retracement. Matching D extension is here at 73.18. So could have some more bearish action to go. We got a support level here as well, 73.84. Right. So we could see this continue to push to the downside, come into this next level of daily support and get to the sub 50 extension. Right. So we'll see what happens here as we move down into the lower ranges. Okay. So that could also then cause the CAD to also continue its little pullback a bit, right? And then see if we get a bounce out of that 618, 786 range, right? So pulling back right now. Let's see what happens when we get to 73.84 and 73.18, this little bit of a range here. And see if we can settle in and then get a catalyst that pushes us back to the upside. Okay, so that's the daily time frame. Come down to the 4. Right, so we took out the A on the 4 and we're pressing down. So let's run the fib from here. Boom, D extension hit, right? So price moving to the downside. So that makes sense. That makes sense. We got some 4-hour support zones here that we might settle in, give us a retracement, push back. But look at these lower 70s as a range, 71, 72-ish, and see if we get prices settling. That's what I'm going to be looking for here as price continues to move down to the downside. Coming to the 1. Here we go. This also gives us a little bit more confirmation. All right, that's that zone that I marked out from the daily time frame. Right, that's that zone there. So on the 1 hour, if we push down into that zone, surprise, surprise, 80-20 scenario. Right, so let's watch for another leg to the downside here. Right, another leg to the downside pushes into that zone of support, and then see if we get that catalyst to give us that move. All right, so that's oil. That's oil, top down. Questions there. So that makes sense on why the CAD is still kind of doing this dance a bit, right? Things are kind of back and forth, but also you got oil continuing to pull back. And with oil, there's still they're still saying that the concern of expansion of the war isn't much of a concern anymore. And there's also a concern of a demand concern, right? So you have those two things working against oil in the scenario, pushing it back down to the downside. So we'll see as price continues to move if that narrative changes, right? And does the fundamental narrative change in these technical zones? Cool. Questions on oil? Nope. All right, cool deal. Benny, anything before we wrap it up, bro?
No, sir. No, sir. Just continue to be patient. It was a good conversation today, especially with you talking about how just narrowing the focus in on that one setup, right?
Yeah, man.
To try to clear that confusion. That's something that we want to be simple, right? Just focusing on that one setup on all the time frames, right? And if it's not there, then we're not involved with it, right? It becomes very, very simple. So if you take that along with using proper risk management at all times, then we're all good.
Then we're all good. Then we're all good. Hey guys, I got a guest that wants to say hello to you.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, beautiful.
Good morning.
All right, good people.
Those glasses, that's cute.
Thank you. All right, good people. Have a phenomenal Wednesday. Continue to be patient. Continue to work on instilling the discipline, right? Be patient, wait for things to move into your zone, and then pull the trigger. All right? Have a phenomenal Wednesday.
Amazing day.
Peace.
You too.